Hey guys, how you doing? Uncle Bob here once again with another video, and today we're going to be doing the review of WWE SummerSlam 2023, or if you like to say 2023, I guess. Uh, yeah, so SummerSlam took place a few months ago, back in August. I think it was, can't remember the exact date, but back in August. But as I said before, I don't see these events live when they're on. I only ever see them when they come out on a video, DVD. I just see the highlights and know the results when they happen, but I don't actually see the full event until I actually get the DVD and then watch it. So usually these are a few months ahead, but you can never catch up with them because because the events are released on DVD a few months after. You can never catch up because WWE is always on to the next event. Got this DVD, but Payback and Fastlane have already happened, so you can't you can't catch up. It's impossible. Because they've already got the next couple of events, and every time you get those on DVD, the next two events happens. But anyway, so SummerSlam, yeah. Now, personally, I think it was a lot better than last year's SummerSlam. I thought last year's SummerSlam was alright, but I think this year's was way better. I think last year's main event was quite good and fun. Lesnar and Reigns did when the ring came up. That was good. Obviously, like, a bit boring seeing Reigns against Lesnar again, but it was quite fun. But I think overall last year's wasn't as good as this year's. This year seemed to be good all round, like a lot of the other matches, like not just the main event, but like a lot of the undercard matches seemed to be quite good. And I think generally, it started out good, and middle was okay, and then it was quite good at the end. And yeah, I just think in general, I think the only thing about this is I've had about 8 matches in total. I think had it been maybe, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 extra, I think it would have been really good. But I think it was still good as it was, but I think it was just missing a couple of things. It was supposed to have Becky Lynch versus Trish on the card, and Raquel Rodriguez against Rhea Ripley. But obviously those 2 matches didn't happen. But I think if maybe one of them had been on the card, maybe it'd been better. But I don't know. I think from what it was pretty good, and a lot of the matches quite decent times, which gave them a lot, more to do than just having, a packed card that's too many matches, short matches. Maybe it's done better like that. But yeah, so obviously the first match between Ricochet and Logan Paul, and this was a really good match, to be honest. It was a decent time for what they had, and considering on the undercard, and yeah, it was I think it was a good, entertaining match, and both men hit some good moves, lots of high risk manoeuvres going on. Ricochet was one of my favourite wrestlers. I really do like him since he's come into WWE. I really like how he moves around and does particular moves in the style of his Ricochet character. Yeah, and this was good, and Logan Paul was exceptionally good again, and yeah, just some crazy things. It seems to be like he's been wrestling for years, but he's only been wrestling for a year or 2 or so, so not really long. The thing is, some of the things he's doing is absolutely crazy. Springboarding, frog splash, and buckshot lariat, and just crazy stuff. Springboarding and going all over the place. It's just crazy. But yeah, it was a really good match. Now Rhodes against Lesnar. Now To be honest, they didn't really do anything that I hadn't already done in the previous matches. It was all the same stuff, Lesnar German suplexes, F5, Kimura lock, then Rhodes, Cody Cutter, beautiful disaster kick, crossroads. It was all the same sort of stuff. However, I think this was probably the best fight out of the three matches, probably. It was quite a good time, and it was quite a good brawl. And Cody just wouldn't give up. Won't tell the result. I'm trying to do these without actually telling the result if you haven't seen it. But yeah, it was a really good brawl and just a good match. Yeah, and I think they did what they could, to be honest. But I think it was a good brawl. But nothing new really they hadn't seen before. Third match, it was a battle royal. Now this is quite forgettable. This was probably a match that you'd probably see, like on a weekly show. It was just passable. Probably the right result in terms of going forward. And it was all right. But I think there'd been better battle royals, but it was quite forgettable. Fourth match was Ronda Rousey. I don't know if this is the right order, but Ronda Rousey against Shayna Baszler. And this again was a forgettable bout. It should have been more than what it was, but because Ronda was leaving WWE, so they didn't have much time to build the feud, and they just had to do it. It was rushed, sort of, and they just Baszler turned on Rousey, and then they just had to get it done at SummerSlam because Rousey was leaving. But it could have been done so much better. Had there been longer to build up the feud, and the match had been longer, it could have been done a lot better. It wasn't done very well, to be honest. But probably the right result going forward in terms of the match. But forgetful. The Intercontinental title match between Gunther or Gunther, whatever you like to call him, formerly Walter, obviously, for years, and then they changed it. Defending the IC title against Drew McIntyre. This was a good match, so to speak, but I don't think it was epic. Maybe because they didn't have as long as they probably would have liked. And again, it wasn't anything really from these two you hadn't seen before. I think the only thing I can remember is Gunther in a butterfly suplex. I don't think I've ever seen him do that. But that was at the beginning, but nothing really, just hitting there, towards the end, just like near falls where they're just hitting their big moves, and nothing, as I said, you haven't seen before. Nothing new really there, and it was alright, as I said. Now, the next match was the women's title between Charlotte, Bianca Belair and Asuka, triple threat match. Now, this was, to be fair, a really, really good match. To be fair, and they all did quite well, creating lots of near falls and doing whatever they could. And yeah, it's a really good match, to be honest. I personally think Charlotte is the best female wrestler in WWE, to be honest. I think she's still evolving and seeing her doing inventive new things as well, being creative. And I think she's the best female. I personally think Seth Rollins is the best male wrestler in WWE, and I think Charlotte is the best female. But yeah, it was a good match. Sorry, I think I was going to sneeze. No, I just stopped it. Yeah, I have a lot of trouble with my nose. I thought I was going to sneeze, but then suddenly didn't. Yeah, so again, that triple threat match between the three women was quite good. And yeah, no complaints really about that. The next match was Seth Rollins against Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight title, and this was an improvement over their Money in the Bank match that I had. But again, to be honest, they didn't do either of them anything that I hadn't seen before. The only thing that was different is that Finn Balor powerbombed Rollins on the outside, and usually that's Rollins doing that. And also Balor gave Rollins a pedigree for a near fall. So that was the only thing that done differently, but not really much else. Just you know, their regular stuff that was hitting their regular big moves. Rollins hitting curb stomp, Balor hitting coup de grace. You know, it's same old stuff. But just again, all the only things, it was just better match and just an improvement and just more near, uh, more near falls towards the end. And you actually did think at one point Finn Balor was going to win the world title until, um, well, I think Damien Priest had already interfered up until that point, but you thought Balor was actually genuinely going to win the title at one point until uh, Rollins. Well, as I said, try not to give you the result, just the thoughts on the matches. But yeah, it was a good match. It was better than the Money in the Bank match, but nothing new. You hadn't seen before, to be honest. Probably their match at SummerSlam 2016 between the Demon and Rollins was probably way, way better than this, to be honest, in terms of what they did. As I said, this is just predictable what they did. And other than that, it was just better than the Money in the Bank match. But it wasn't, as I said, I don't think it was one of the best ever SummerSlam matches. It's just alright. Now the main event between obviously Universal Undisputed Champion Reigns, who's suddenly now ended up with 3 belts when I think he was supposed to have that new belt replacing the 2 belts that he had, WWE title and the Universal title. But now suddenly he's got 3 belts, and Rollins got a new heavyweight title. And seems to me like there's 4 heavyweight titles now. I think it's a bit of a ridiculous situation the way things are gone. Why would you need to create another world title when there was 2 world titles at the beginning, and then it would have made more sense just to have Reigns having 2 titles and then let Rollins have one, or just let Reigns have one and Rollins have one. I don't really see the point of him. It just seems silly to me. It just carrying 3 world titles. It just sort of seems like boxing, where they win world titles and then end up carrying 3 or 4 belts. It's supposed to be wrestling at the end of the day, not boxing. You're not collecting championships. But anyway, the match itself, to be honest, it was good, but again, some of the things that they were doing wasn't really unique or different to any sort of, and it was called a tribal combat match, but to be honest, it was more or less like like a street fight or no disqualification extreme rules match where they're just using weapons. It was just, they were just calling it another name for the match, tribal combat. It wasn't anything. There was no new weapons that were involved. They were just using kendo stick, steel chair, table. I think there was one weapon that Jay used on Reigns, like some sort of whipping thing that might have been different. But other than that, yeah, not really. There wasn't really much creativity in the match where they was doing anything unique or really different. As I said, the weapons are quite similar to what they've used in the past in other matches. And then Reigns and Jay just hitting, the predictable, big signature moves. Reigns hitting Superman punch, spear, Jay hitting super kick, Uso splash, and obviously Reigns' spear. I think he hit Reigns. I think Jay hit Reigns with a spear about 3 times. I think during the match. But yeah, he'd obviously been using his finisher. And as I said, yeah, it was good, but not really anything that I hadn't done before. And I think probably looking at it, last year's main event was a lot more better because it was just more creative. Yeah, but it was a good performance by Jay, to be honest. I think he's got what it takes to be a champion. Not sure about world champion, but definitely got what it takes to be maybe Intercontinental champion and US champion. But yeah, I think a singles run is definitely deserved. But so the match was good, but it wasn't epic and it wasn't very creative. But yeah, And yeah, I mean, I think the result in terms of going forward, yeah, it was probably going to be predictable, but I think that's going to be it, guys. Well, I wanted to do this review for about 10 minutes, done it for about 15. I suppose that's not too bad considering I've done these sometimes reviews on the W events for longer. But that's going to be it for the review on this. But as I said, overall, I think it's way, way better than last year's in terms of the matches. Um, and yeah, I'd certainly, definitely say it was. I mean, to be honest, I ought to give it an 8 out of 10, being quite generous. Certainly a lot better than last year's, and I definitely would recommend it if you haven't seen it. But if you have, then yeah, you know how it was. So guys, I think that's going to be it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more vids, and I hope you guys enjoy this one, and see you guys on the next video. Take care, bye for now, see you soon.